Today, we're taking a trip to Nigeria for a magical tale you'll love. This is the story of the magic stone. Not too long ago, in a small village nestled between the rolling hills of western Nigeria, there lived a young boy named Ola. His family was poor. Despite his humble beginnings, Ola was known for his kindness and generosity. He never complained, and even though he had very little, he was always willing to share with others. The people of the village admired him for his selflessness. He was always there to help the elderly, care for the sick, and play with the children. The village was small but tight-knit, and the people worked hard to make ends meet. They farmed the land and fished the nearby river, but there was often not enough food to go around, and droughts would come unpredictably, leaving the crops to wither and the river to dry up. Despite the hardships, the villagers made do, relying on one another for support. One day, as Ola ventured into the forest to gather firewood, he stumbled upon something extraordinary. Hidden beneath the roots of a massive tree, he discovered a strange, glowing stone. The stone was unlike anything he had ever seen. He reached down and gently picked it up, his fingers tingling as they made contact with the cool surface. The moment he touched the stone, a voice echoed in his mind, low, calm, and full of wisdom. "You have found the magic stone," the voice said. "This stone has the power to grant one wish." Ola, startled by the voice but curious about its message, held the stone in his hands and wondered what to do. The forest around him was silent. He looked at the stone, feeling the weight of its power, and considered the possibilities. What would he wish for? Would he ask for riches or fame? Perhaps he could wish for his family to be the wealthiest in the village, or for his own happiness and comfort. But Ola was a kind and humble boy, and his heart was full of compassion for others. He thought about the villagers and their struggles. He thought about the hunger and the thirst they often experienced, the hard work they put in only to see their crops fail year after year. A desire to help his people filled him, and without hesitation, Ola made his wish. "I wish," he said aloud, "for an abundance of food and water for my village, so that no one will ever go hungry or thirsty again." As soon as he spoke the words, the ground beneath his feet trembled. Ola's heart raced as he saw the earth begin to shift. A soft rumbling echoed through the forest, and before him, the soil parted to reveal rows of lush crops, maize, cassava, yams, and a variety of fruits and vegetables. The air seemed to grow sweeter as a crystal-clear stream of water began to flow from the base of the tree, winding its way through the forest and toward the village. The water sparkled in the sunlight. Ola stood in awe, his heart swelling with joy. The magic stone had granted his wish. He had brought abundance to his village. He ran back to the village, eager to share the news with the elders and the other villagers. When he arrived, he called out to them, his voice full of excitement. "Come quickly! There is food and water in the forest." The villagers gathered around him, their faces filled with disbelief. They followed Ola to the forest, and when they saw the abundance that had appeared before them, they were overwhelmed with joy. The crops were thriving, the water was flowing freely, and there was more than enough for everyone. For the first time in many years, the villagers were able to fill their stomachs and drink their fill without worry. The elders praised Ola for his selfless wish and called him a hero. They declared a feast in his honor, and the entire village celebrated. There was music, dancing, and laughter. Ola felt proud and content knowing that his wish had made such a difference. For many days, the village prospered, and no one went hungry or thirsty. However, as time passed, something began to change in the village. At first, it was subtle, small complaints here and there. The villagers, who had once worked tirelessly to grow crops and fish the river, began to take the abundance for granted. They no longer worked as hard as they once had. They relied solely on the magic of the stone, expecting the crops to grow on their own and the water to flow endlessly. They began to neglect the land, allowing weeds to grow and the soil to dry up in places where they once planted their crops. At first, Ola tried to remind the villagers of the importance of working together to care for the land. He told them that the abundance they had received was a gift, but that they must continue to put in the effort to maintain it. He spoke to the elders, urging them to guide the people, but they were too content with the ease that the magic had brought them. The villagers began to grow lazy, and slowly, the crops began to wither. The once flowing stream began to shrink, and the village was once again at risk of hunger and drought. Ola was heartbroken. He had wanted to help his people, but now he saw that the magic was only a temporary solution. The villagers had not learned to value the land. He realized that while the magic stone had granted his wish, it had not taught his people the lessons they needed to thrive. They now only rely on magic instead of effort. Determined to set things right, Ola returned to the forest where he had found the stone. He walked to the ancient tree and called out to the magic stone. "I have made a mistake," he said, his voice full of regret. "The people have become lazy, and they no longer appreciate the land. I wish to return things to how they were before. I want them to learn the value of hard work and gratitude." The stone glowed softly in response, and the voice in Ola's mind spoke again. "Dip the stone in the river 3 times and your wish will be granted," the voice said. When Ola returned to the village, everything had changed. The abundance of food and water was gone. The villagers now understood that they could not rely on magic. They went back to working the land, planting crops, and fishing the river. They worked together, sharing knowledge and wisdom, and they treated the land with respect. In time, the village flourished once again, but this time, it was because the villagers had worked for their prosperity. They had learned the value of hard work, gratitude, and the importance of taking care of the earth that provided for them. Ola kept the magic stone as a reminder of the lessons he had learned. He knew that true prosperity came not from wishing for more, but from appreciating and taking care of what one already had. As the years went by, Ola grew to become one of the wisest old men in the village. Now, what is the moral of the story? True prosperity comes from hard work, effort, and gratitude, not from shortcuts or magic. It is only through appreciating and taking care of what we have that we can truly thrive. And that's it for today's story, The Magic Stone. We hope it left you smiling, thinking, or maybe both. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind.